What's in a Name? Written by Francis Morgan. Illustrated by Nora Vutis. Introduction. In this book, we are going to study names. We will use the names of a third-grade class to find out where names come from. Your last name is your family name. Your first name is your given name. It's called given name because your parents give it to you. Often your parents will pick two names for you, a first name and a middle name. You have your name all your life. However, many women change their family name when they marry. They take the family name of their husband. Their children have this family name as their last name. This is Tommy Tompkins. There are 24 other children in Tommy's class. 12 are boys and 12 are girls. Every morning, at school, Mrs. Zimmerman, the teacher, calls out the names of the children. The children shout "present" after they hear their names. She starts with the boys' names, then she continues with the girls' names. Daniel Armstrong, Robert Figueroa, Andrew Fitzgerald, Joshua Fox, Jason Freeman, Jose Garcia, William Gardner, Kareem Johnson, Matthew Longfellow, Michael O'Brien, Thomas Tompkins, Christopher Wood, David Yamamura, Samantha Baker, Kim Chan, Jennifer Clark, Emily Fisher, Rebecca Goldschmidt, Amanda Hill, Stephanie Jackson, Kawana McDonald, Isabel Rodriguez, Brittany Schumacher, Ashley Taylor, Sarah White. Family names. Your family name has probably been in your family for hundreds of years. At one time, many years ago, people had only one name, a given name. At that time, there were very few names for parents to choose from. People lived in small villages where everyone knew each other. Over the years, the population increased. Villages grew larger. Towns were formed. In the towns and villages, many people had the same name, and it started to get confusing. In one village, there may have been 8 men called John. The villagers had to add words to the different John's names to understand which John they were talking about. Some of the Johns were known by adding their father's name. For example, John, David's son, or John, Jack's son. Others were known by where they lived. For example, John from the hill, or John from the lake. Others were known by the job they did. For example, John the carpenter, or John the gardener. Still others were known by some personal feature. For example, John the short, or John with white hair. In the Middle Ages, the rulers of many countries wanted to know who everyone was in their country. They wanted to make sure everyone was paying taxes, so they needed to count everyone. These rulers didn't want to get mixed up with 8 different Johns, 9 different Henrys, and 10 different Williams in one village, so they passed laws that said everyone had to have a last name. In our example village, with the 8 Johns, John, David's son, became John Davidson. John, Jack's son, became John Jackson. John from the lake became John Lake. John from the hill became John Hill. John the carpenter became John Carpenter, and John the gardener became John Gardner. John the short became John Short. John with white hair became John White. Our last names are usually based on one of the four groups. 1. Father's name. 2. Place where they lived. 3. Job or trade. 4. Person's appearance. Let's look at all the children in Tommy's class from page 7 and divide their names into the four groups. 1. Names from a father. Fitz means son of and came from France. Fitzgerald meant son of Gerald. Johnson started off as John's son, and Jackson as Jack's son. Mac and Mick mean son of and occur in Scottish and Irish names. MacDonald meant son of Donald. O means son of and is used in Irish names. O'Brien meant son of Brian. Kins at the end of a name formed a nickname meaning little. Tompkins meant little Tom or Tom's little one. Ez at the end of a name meant son of in Spanish. Rodriguez meant son of Roderick. 2. Names from a place. Figueroa means where the fig trees grow in Spanish. So Robert Figueroa's ancestors came from a place where fig trees grew in Spain. Garcia is the name of a place in Spain. So Jose's ancestors came from this town. Yamamura is Japanese. Yama means mountain, and Mura means village. David's ancestors came from a village in the mountains of Japan. 3. Names from a job. The ancestors of the children in the class with job names were bakers, clerks, fishermen, gardeners, goldsmiths, and tailors. Schumacher means shoemaker in German, so Brittany had an ancestor who made shoes. Jason Freeman's ancestors were slaves. They were captured in Africa and brought, against their will, to America to work in the fields. When slavery was abolished, they were able to choose their own names. As most didn't know what their African names were, they chose American names. Many picked the names of their former masters. Some, like Jason's ancestors, wanted to show they had become free, so they chose the name Freeman. Some of the jobs that people did in the Middle Ages, when last names first started, no longer exist. The names, however, still live on. Some of these are Cooper. A cooper made wooden barrels. Hooper. A hooper made hoops for barrels. Archer and bowman. Archers and bowmen were soldiers who used a bow and arrows. Fletcher. A fletcher made arrows. Carter. A carter made or drove carts. Wheeler. A wheeler made wheels for the carts. Tanner. A tanner worked with leather. 4. Names from a description. The first ancestor of Daniel Armstrong with a last name was known as a strong man. Chan is Chinese and means old, so the first person to have a last name in Kim's family was old. Some people have animal names as last names. This usually means that their ancestor acted like the animal in some way. Joshua Fox's ancestor was probably cunning, like a fox. Longfellow was a tall person and White had white hair. Changing names. Sometimes family names were changed for different reasons. Many of the people going to America from Europe had difficult names to pronounce and spell. To make things less difficult, they changed their names. Sometimes people arrived in the country and an official would change their name for them. This was because the official couldn't understand them when he asked them their name, or he couldn't spell it properly. Someone called Jan Miksha would have become John McShay. Someone with the last name of Mlinar would become Miller. Hildegard Zimmermann, German for carpenter, would become Hilda Carpenter. Sometimes actors and singers change their names so that people will remember them more easily. Here are some examples. Babyface, singer, Kenneth Bryan Edmonds. Jackie Chan, actor, Kong Sang-chan. Cher, singer, Sherilyn Sarkeesian. Tom Cruise, actor, Thomas Cruise Maypother IV. Eminem, rapper, Marshall Mathers III. Gloria Estefan, singer, Gloria Maria Fajardo. Whoopi Goldberg, actor, Karen Johnson. Hulk Hogan, wrestler, Terry Jean Bollea. Ice Cube, rap singer, O'Shea Jackson. Ice-T, rap singer, Tracy Merrow. Elton John, singer, Reginald Kenneth Dwight. Courtney Love, singer, Love Michelle Harrison. Madonna, singer, Madonna Louise Ciccone. Prince, rock star, Prince Rogers Nelson. P. Diddy, singer, Sean Combs. Ringo Starr, drummer, Richard Starkey. Sting, singer, Gordon Matthew Sumner. Kid Rock, rapper, Robert James Ritchie. Tiger Woods, golfer, Eldrick Woods. First names. Now that you know about family names, let's look at given names or first names. There are many different reasons why parents choose a particular name for their child. Maybe they name a son after his grandfather. They could name a daughter after someone they admire, like a writer, actor, or athlete. Or they could just choose a name they like the sound of. Most first names have meanings, which are very old. Most of these meanings are now forgotten, although some parents will look up the meanings of first names in a book or on the internet. Family names as first names. In the past few years, it has become popular to use family names as first names. Some examples are Tyler, originally a family name from someone who put tiles on roofs; Hunter, English, a hunter; Logan, Irish, from a cove; Mason, a stonemason; Blake, Old English, white; Tanner, English, leather worker; Morgan, Welsh, sea dweller; Haley, English, hay meadow; and Brooke, lived near a brook. Nicknames. Very often, first names are shortened or changed. These names are called nicknames. Let's look at Tommy's class and see how many nicknames there are. Daniel Armstrong is called Danny. Robert Figueroa is called Bobby. Andrew Fitzgerald is called Andy. Joshua Fox is called Josh. Jason Freeman is called Flash, but that's not because of his name. It's because he runs fast. Jose Garcia doesn't have a nickname. William Gardner is called Billy. Kareem Johnson is called KJ. Matthew Longfellow is called Matt. Michael O'Brien is called Mike. Thomas Tompkins is called Tommy. Christopher Wood is called Chris. David Yamamura is called Dave. Girls also have nicknames. Samantha Baker is called Sam. Kim Chan doesn't have a nickname. Jennifer Clark is called Jenny. Emily Fisher is called M. Rebecca Goldschmidt is called Becky. Amanda Hill is called Mandy. Stephanie Jackson is called Steffi. Kawana McDonald is called Mac. Isabel Rodriguez is called Bella. Brittany Schumacher is called Britt. Ashley Taylor is called Spud because she eats a lot of potatoes. Sarah White doesn't have a nickname.